Social cohesion can be defined as a characteristic of society that highlights the interdependence between individuals in that society. Effectively, social cohesion links back to two things: the lack of latent social conflict independently of the cause of conflict, and the presence of strong and positive social bonds. If we want to characterize it, it's the process of building a shared value system between individuals, reducing disparities and exclusion of these individuals, and creating a sense of belonging between these individuals within a society. When thinking of elements that contribute to social cohesion, one would think of three levels. The individual level, with elements like social capital, behaviors, norms, trust. The second level is the community level, where elements like inclusion, sense of belonging, communication, and the third level, which is the institutional level, where elements like community organization, civil society, access to services are important elements that contribute to social cohesion. When we talk about contextualization, we mean that it's the local community that identifies, determines, and decides on the factors that are influencing the state of social cohesion within that community. It's the community that decides on who are the actors who need to be engaged, and it's the community who agrees on the type of interventions that are required to push the process forward. Some of the challenges that we've witnessed in terms of engaging communities in social cohesion processes relate to the willingness of decision makers in actually engaging local community in decision making. Another challenge that we've witnessed is effectively the representation. How many groups can actually be represented in the social cohesion process? And so if some groups are not represented and excluded, it goes against the mere definition of what social cohesion is and stands for. And the third challenge that we've witnessed is the issue of how long-term a process of social cohesion is and how much time it takes and how much commitment it requires versus results that are usually abstract to communities. In times where communities that go through these processes are communities that have basic needs that are unfulfilled. There are different ways to measure whether a community engagement process was successful. I can think of three elements that relate directly to the community itself. The first is the level of commitment. Is the community committed to the process, even though it's a long-term process and the results of the process are quite abstract? The second is the level of ownership. Can the community, or is it willing to adopt the process and move forward with it without external intervention? Another element that has really played a big role in sustaining these efforts is the institutionalization model that was adopted by the community itself. How can we institutionalize this process of community engagement and social cohesion process without hitting the challenges of bureaucracy and rigidity of typical institutional models that we know of and that exist in our communities? And the third is representation. And the good indicator of success is the expansion of representation within the community group that is engaged in the social cohesion process to ensure that less and less groups are marginalized and excluded.